Hey Jerks, and welcome back to our Beer Jerk Beer of the Week subscription. I'm Matt.
And I'm Luke.
And today we are drinking Boardies from Mount Brewing Co. This is what they call a non-stop dry hop cold session IPA. What does that mean, Luke?
Well, I don't think Boardies is the name of the beer. I think Boardies is the name of the series of beers.
Yeah, so I think what they've done is they've created a series of beers. I don't know if you can see it on the back there, where they have basically different types of swimwear for different seasons. Being from Mount Maunganui, with their brewery based at the Rising Tide, which is a really cool venue there, right near the beach. There's obviously a real beach focus for Mount Brewing, and this one here. So they've got boardies there. Then they've also got awesome spring suits and steamers. So I think the idea is they're going to have a rotating core range based on that concept of beers that are designed for drinking at different kinds of time of year. And this is their summer autumn beer, and it's designed for smashing at the beach and drinking it.
Yeah. So it's a non-stop dry hop cold session IPA. So there's 6 things going on in there. So I suppose one of the more interesting things is that it's a cold IPA. So cold IPA is it's kind of similar to a lager. There's a lot of similar processes. I don't know if they used the lager yeast with this one, but it definitely was lagered. So it was a cold condition for an extended period.
Yeah, and so what they talk about with non-stop dry hop on this one is basically this was dry hopped morning and night every day during fermentation. And one of the things they talk about with this beer is that because of it's a cold IPA and because it's fermented colder, it's brewed over a longer period of time. That allows for a longer period where they can do that non-stop dry hop process. And the idea behind that is to build in more complexity to the hop character. More contact time with the hops gives you a different characteristic to shorter contact times. Same thing as if you're a lot of people doing it, particularly Dogfish Head back in the day with their kind of 90 and 120 minute IPAs, which are kind of some legendary beers that you don't hear about so much anymore. So a lot of the time it's done with the boil. So when you're boiling the hops, you add them at 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes during the whirlpool. Now there's dip hopping where you add it in a steep in the fermenter, and then there's mid-ferment dry hopping and late ferment dry hopping. So and post-ferment dry hopping. So there's all different times you can add hops to get different characteristics that you're looking for. And the idea behind this is that spreads it out through the whole process. So you're getting a really kind of developed hop character. It's not one note. It's designed to kind of bring out all the different aspects of the hops through the dry hopping process.
Which works really, really well in this beer. So you can see the colour, so it looks like a lager.
Yeah.
So it's got a really light body to it, it's light in colour, it's really easy going and easy to drink, but it's got a really pronounced hop character. It's got beautiful aroma, it's got a nice bitterness to it, which is hard to do in a 4% beer. With IPAs, it's a lot easier to make a 7% IPA, just because the alcohol just kind of carries it. You've got the sort of the mouthfeel, the slickness that comes with alcohol, and you've just got a bigger base. So this is technically not an easy beer to do,
No.
and they've nailed it.
Yeah, they have. It's really nice. And one thing they've started to do is put the recipe, who developed the recipe on the can. So this was developed by their brewer Pavel Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Who I think has been at Mount for a while as an assistant brewer, as my understanding. I don't know, never actually met. But has been coming up through the ranks there and is getting the opportunity to take the range there a bit more and do some more experimental stuff. And there's been a few samples that we received from out that we've been really impressed by lately. They've been
I was doing some brilliant stuff, so sorry to interrupt you, but I think it was a few months ago, we were just chatting and we thought, crikey, we haven't tried a Mount beer in a very, very long time. So we just got in touch and said, hey, can you send us some beers, keen to see what you're up to? And every one of them was good.
Yeah, they've really kind of stepped up. A few years ago, I had a few beers from them that I wasn't particularly impressed with. But basically everything in the sample box that they sent us was really good. Their core hazy was absolutely top drawer. This is a really nice kind of clean, bright, smashable stunner. So yeah, it's definitely a brewery to keep an eye on. And if, like me, you saw them a while ago and had some less than stellar beers from them, give them another crack, because we've been really impressed.
So, very impressive beer. I think it's going to be a bit of a crowd pleaser. People like hops, and a really nice bonus. This is only 4%,
Yeah.
so it's a bit more sessionable. And yeah, technically really well put together beer, and it's bloody tasty, hey?
Yeah, it's delicious. So if you are in the Mount or the Tauranga area, go check out the Rising Tide. It's on the beach-ish, somewhere around there. I've been, but I can't remember exactly where it was because I'm not that familiar. But they've got a bunch of taps on. The brewery's kind of right there in the bar. You've got a nice outdoor seating area, and yeah, they're making some cracking beers. So good on you, Mount Bro.
Yeah, great beer. Keep it up.
And yeah.
What else is going on?
What else is going on? Fresh Hop is going on. It was on the news over the weekend, which was fun.
Kind of a big deal, yeah. On the news.
Get on about once a year now at this point. So it's Fresh Hop season. We've got our Fresh Hop mix cases available online now for pre-order. We've got 3 different boxes available. One of those boxes is called the Whole Harvest box, and we think that's the biggest and best value Fresh Hop product available anywhere. It's 28 different beers for $255. So you're saving $20 on the regular retail of that. And it's a really great way to try the whole harvest, really get across what's going on with the Fresh Hops this year. If that's a bit much for you, we've got 2 different 14 packs, which are half of that, and we've got a really great range of beers available there from a range of different breweries. A few breweries have brought out 2, so we've made sure to split those up. So if you're wanting to get your hand on a broad range you can of different breweries, you can get that through those boxes. And yeah, basically pretty much all the big names are in there. And there's some really exciting stuff that people are doing with different styles this year. There's a couple of reds, there's a few cold IPAs, there's some dip hop stuff going on. So people are branching out a bit more this year from the cavalcade of hazies we've seen in the past. So yeah, definitely worth checking that out.
Yeah, and that's nice. It's going to be, so there's a pretty wide variety of different varieties of hops as well. So it's that's always a concern for us. We don't want to put together a box of 28 beers that all taste the same. So different kinds of hops, different processes, different beer styles. So it's going to be really fun to have just as your own mini Fresh Hop beer festival, because we unfortunately can't do the Auckland Fresh Hop Festival that we usually do, where Matt organises minibuses going around 5 different venues around town. So we're still limited by COVID, but you can get some pals together in your garden, do your own.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always say it's a really exciting product for us, because no one else in the world gets to drink these kind of beers. The Fresh Hop only really happens to any kind of great degree in New Zealand,
yeah.
And no one else gets to do it with New Zealand hops, and it's something that's completely unique in the world. So and you can only do it at one time of year, so get amongst it while you can.
Yeah, it's a real annual highlight, and you may have FOMO if you don't score yourself some of those beers. So. And other stuff going on. So here at the Fridge and Flagon, we're still on limited hours, so we're closed for half the week, but we're open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. We're still doing BJP Run Club on Mondays. So we'd love to see some of you down here. It's feeling pretty empty these days, I think like all of hospitality in New Zealand. So we're excited about a time in a few months where people are going to feel safer going out again and socialising and drinking good beers.
And if you're not doing anything tomorrow night, you may be watching this a bit too late, but we have Soren Eriksson from 8 Wired coming up tomorrow evening to do a tasting through the history of 8 Wired's beers, from Hop Wired, which is the beer that put them on the map, the first New Zealand IPA, and onwards to their modern beers that they've just released a really interesting passion fruit whip. And there's a bunch of other in-betweens. Remember that there's going to be some of the original batch of iced out being busted out.
12 years old.
Yeah, so that's going to be really exciting talk through the history of 8 Wired, paired with some fantastic beers, hosted by Soren Eriksson, the founder and head brewer of 8 Wired. So if you're in the Auckland area tomorrow night from 6:30, Well, today being Wednesday, so you might be watching this on Thursday, in which case don't come on Friday expecting it. But yeah, that's going to be a really cool event too.
And that's the start of a series, so that event's called Behind the Brews. So we're going to be doing that pretty regularly, where we're just going to invite different brewers to come along, and I'll just have a chat with them and interview them about the history of the brewery, specifically around major tentpole beers that they've released in their history. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to drink some vintage Wild Feijoa and just a whole bunch of interesting stuff and hearing Soren's story. So maybe I'll see some of you along there.
And if it is Thursday night and you've missed out, keep your eye out for the next one, because we're going to be doing it with more brewers, and there's going to be more exciting stories to share.
Well, that's it from me.
And that's it from me.
Cheers everybody. See you next
week.
time.